Tommy.
He should be coming.
What's this?
Okay, welcome everybody. This is a work session of Common Council for September 6, 2022. Can I get a roll call, Mr. Fetty?
All right, I got Councilperson Tony Abbott.
Here.
Councilperson Justin Noppert.
Sir.
Councilperson Tommy Roulette.
Present.
Councilperson Lenny Fryman.
Here.
Councilperson Brett Bondurant.
Yes, sir.
You got City Attorney Dale Weldon. Here. All right. Mayor Kellen Malone.
Here.
Myself.
All right. What's on the agenda for this meeting is the discussion of the 6 projects that we've got the Veritas Group working on. I'll let them go through. I'll let Dave go through the process how they got to the engineering group that they're going to use. But the 6 projects were then, I think, split up into 2 different groups.
Yeah, we have 4 right now.
4 and 2, I think.
Yep, utility building, data center, community center, and police station.
I think it's architecture and infrastructure.
Yes, that is
Not
well.
mistaken. And I'll let Dave explain how they got to, from the when we met, and then how we got to sort of today. How's that? And then any questions about the contract? Dave has reviewed it from Structure Point. Randy's here from Structure Point, can answer some questions, I'm assuming. Probably not, he's a BD guy. But Dave can answer the questions.
I was going to lean on Randy.
He's done the inquiring, so.
Yeah,
As you guys know, Dave works for us.
right. Okay.
As far as our rep.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor. So, yeah, we're actually looking at these like 8 projects, really. The Trail Bridge, which is the Tanners Creek Trail Bridge, the bike path project, the dock and dredging project, and then looking at the vertical construction, the roof replacement for the data center, the utility barn improvements that we're looking at there, the police, as well as the community center facade. So those are the projects that we're looking at.
I need some clarification on that.
It's not a
Yep.
bike path, it's a path up, the path project up.
Yeah,
Not only that, when I read the document that I was sent, it does not list the others that you just spoke of.
so I've got a comment on that. You're absolutely right, and we'll get
Okay.
that clarified.
Thank you.
Which one's Tommy, I'm sorry?
So
Bike path's not on there, and what was it?
So you have 2 different documents. So what we have tonight
I didn't
is,
bring the other ones.
Yep, that's okay.
No.
So we've come to, let me back up here. So first of all, we've got Structure Point on board right now with presentations tonight with master services agreements to move forward with the architectural and engineering services. For these projects, we did solicit multiple architects. There were 2 groups that responded, Structure Point as well as K2M, and after review of the qualifications and of the groups, we found Structure Point to be the most responsive and qualified to do the work. So that's how we ended up here with Structure Point. The 2 documents that you have today are, one is an AIA document for all the vertical, so that's more architectural based, and the other one is a short form agreement between the engineering services. In the AIA document, on the 2nd page, it does list, right under Article 1, under 1.1, it does list those 4 projects: the utility building, the data center roof replacement, the community center entry facade improvements, which also includes looking at all the ADA compliant issues to make sure those are brought up, as well as the police station renovation. The short form agreement, which is the 2nd master services agreement, that's in relation to the trail bridge, the path over at Ludlow Park, as well as the dock expansion and dredging. Those specific projects are not listed in here, so what I'm going to recommend is that we get that updated so that they detail those in this agreement.
Good idea.
So if there's an approval to move forward with this, I'd say it would be an approval contingent upon that being updated for final signature by whatever administration.
What were
need be.
the trail bridge,
Be the trail bridge, the path over at Ludlow Park,
Yep.
the dock expansion and dredging project,
Yeah.
which is, we're kind of considering that one.
Yep,
So,
all right,
okay.
yep.
So talking about that one specifically right now, with the short form agreement between the engineer professional services for those. So what we've asked Structure Point, and we talked through this, the best way to do it, and what we came to, there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know the full breadth of the project. We need to get in and do some scoping and understand that. What we came to was to have them provide a master services agreement for both of these projects. The short form for these, I'll call them the horizontal or infrastructure projects, that is a master services agreement with a not to exceed of $1 million. The master services for the architectural services is $920,000 not to exceed. Now, each time we go, and the other thing that's on the agenda tonight is the first task order for the infrastructure work, which I'll get into in more depth. Each time the group comes to us with a task order to move forward, so this first one is a lot of scoping, and we'll go through and look at what that is, but for instance on the, let's just do it right now. So for that infrastructure, it includes scope and fee associated with the bridge inspection and scoping report, which is the initial scoping document that they're going to need to do, $29,000. They've included in here bridge safety inspections for $33,000. So that's over the next year, approximately 6 field visits scheduled bi-monthly to continue observation of that to make sure that nothing has changed as we continue through this process. Topographic survey, a wetland delineation, which is going to be required as part of the 401, 404 permit, and then an IDNR and floodplain permitting. So there's $10,000 associated with that. So that $113,600 gets us through the first scoping phase for task order 1. And so each time they have a task order, no matter what that be, scoping, going into schematic design, design development, construction documents, CA, all the way through the end of the project, the group, Structure Point, will come back to us with task orders that we'll review and make sure that they're appropriate and in line with the scope and the project that is being presented.
Is that just the bridge?
So this here,
That's the way I understood. I didn't really
Yes.
see anything else other than the bridge.
That's all I see.
So
like I
this
said, the
first is
communication
for the
with- as far as
bridge.
these documents was very vague as far as handed to us. I mean,
Well,
Yeah.
let me
I got 'em all.
explain that, okay? We didn't get them till Thursday afternoon of last week,
yeah, I mean, that's,
okay?
yeah.
We got them to people on Friday, so there was no time to
Okay.
explain anything.
So it is,
We
they,
didn't
on,
get to see them until Thursday.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure, I'm
We-
just trying to,
we-
I'm just, part of my job, and I'm just trying to read through them and understand them.
yeah, so,
That's the reason we,
Yeah.
nobody's seen them. I didn't see them, nobody.
yeah. So these master service agreements are just that. They're a master service agreement with a guaranteed, the not to exceed on those master services agreement that will present task orders off of those. The task order, as he says, task order number 1, preliminary investigations, bridge inspection, and project scoping. This is related just to the bridge.
Okay.
Okay?
Those are all not to exceed numbers.
And those are correct on this here. This is just fee associated with getting reporting done and survey, and we have another additional item that was presented to us. You already have a master services agreement with ATC, with Atlas, and we need them to do some geotechnical surveying for the work that's associated with the bridge as part of that scoping. So they've provided a not to exceed $14,800, completely different from Structure Point. It's not in their master services. This is your master services agreement with Atlas, and we're going to just keep holding that under Lawrenceburg, okay? But there would be an additional task order for Atlas to do this geotechnical work.
The only thing that I asked for when they were talking through this was on the inspections, because the permitting's gonna take 12 to 18 months, or 12 to 15 months is what they anticipate. I said, okay, I wanna make sure that that bridge is safe while we keep it open, right? Because we all know what water can do, as we've seen in Switzerland County this past weekend. And I just don't wanna I just wanna make sure that we keep it, I wanna be able to keep it open. But if we, I don't want Mario to have to go down there and say, oh, you know, it looks good. This way we get a stamped document on the inspection that says it's good or not.
So is that something, excuse me, something we get annually, the permit, or every so many years?
No, this one.
No, I mean, from IDEM or whoever for the bridge, does
For the
someone,
inspection,
do they want that, does they want us to have that bridge inspected every so many years so people can go across it safely?
well, of course, we're doing the project because the bridge is in question now.
Okay.
And like the mayor said, we want to keep it open,
Right?
but we want the expertise on a bi-monthly basis to say it hasn't shifted, it hasn't, because we're going into winter months here. And we've got some piling on that bridge that's actually failed.
Just up to construction.
Yes.
Right.
But Tommy, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, we do have, the county requires an annual.
That's what I'm getting at. Is there something that says you must have this bridge, make sure it is inspected so often, it's pedestrian worthy or whatnot, yeah.
And I can't say they mandate it, but they call every year and ask if.
But you're better off, I see where we're going, you're better off doing this. And like you said, you would say, okay, we're shutting the bridge down because it's failing. Here we are, if we can catch it ahead of time. That's somewhat understanding, yes.
And you currently do have ongoing testing to monitor any shift or change in the piles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that
So-
twice a year, actually.
Yeah, I think I've seen, who is it we used for that?
Land consultants.
Yes, I did see them shooting this elevations.
So in regards to the scoping, what's that gonna entail? The scoping of the project, inspecting,
So they're gonna go in, they're gonna perform some inspections, both visual and structural, et cetera. They need let me go back to this here. Obviously, the topographic survey, the geotechnical survey from Atlas, they need that as well.
what's the topo needed for? If we're not changing the footprint, right, of the,
We're not changing the footprint, but when we go and we actually upgrade the structure, it's important that they know what that topographic detail looks like on the banks, just for structural.
So for the substructure, we are putting for the wheel, on the profile, it will change. We plan on putting concrete
Yeah.
footings in there.
Yeah. We would need that anyway just to produce any kind of plans. We would want a topographic survey to show what we don't want to guess at that, right? Structure point doesn't want to guess at that. They're going to want that information. So this initial scoping here really is going to look at the structure, determine what is failing specifically, and then how to fix it, and the best way to fix that and going forward. And so that's what we're going to get out from this report. When we look at moving forward into design and actually delivering this, if we move forward with the CMC, which is the intent right now, ideally we would have a group on board with Structure Point as they're designing, looking at best practices, means and methods, so that we can mitigate any, instead of doing a design bid build where we make assumptions on what is the best means and methods to fix this, we'll have a CMC on board with us through that process, and we can mitigate hopefully any unknowns or some curveballs or costs down the road.
the wetland delineation permit that's in here for the $4,000? I saw that the one, our wetland delineation was good until 2023. Are we just trying to stay ahead of that to renew that? If you look up, it's gotta be renewed every 5 years, or is that separate from that?
That is a
Through the
good
Army
question
Corps?
that I'll get that answered. I don't have the answer to that.
So you're aware in section V where it says permitting, section 401 and 404, regional general permitting, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. IDEM management generally considers wetland delineations valid for a period of 5 years.
Right.
After the completion of the work. This project was completed in December 11th of 2018, so it's good till December 11th, 2023.
That's if you don't change the scope. There's
Right.
an add to that original scope to that permit.
Okay.
So this is one advantage of having Structure Point on board to do this project, especially this project here, is that they've been involved in the inspection and they've got history with this bridge and have done some reporting on this before, so.
And we expect all the county bridges at this time, so we've always got people down there.
So I guess any questions with regard to the master services agreement for either of these groups of projects, the two master services?
Okay, I need clarification on data center, are we restructuring, putting a different roof type on that instead of a flat roof?
Correct.
Okay, that's,
Correct. It's a-
so it's the, what am I trying to say here? It's the old roof which tar that has the pea gravel on it.
It has a newer roof on it.
Okay.
That was put on, I think, 4 years ago, rubber.
Okay,
But the drainage wasn't sufficient. The 2-inch drainage from that whole little section, it actually froze and raised the membrane, and the drain couplings are soft, which is a metal box. Actually raised it and created a leak. I should say a flood inside the computer room.
so it is going to get a truss type roof put on it or
Correct.
something? Okay. And the only other thing I had was the police station. It says renovation and additions. Are we adding on to that existing building?
I think that's to be determined.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That'll be part of the scoping process.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And when all that's going on, I mean, you guys will have a say on what, you know, how deep the renovation will go. Listen, I think during their initial talk down there, I mean, they heard from Snyder and other police officers and people down there about what they want. But, you know, it's gonna come down to, you know, what is really needed for the expansion, not, you know.
So really all we got is numbers on the bridge. We don't have any numbers on anything else, right?
No, and we're gonna prioritize these projects. We wanna make sure to hit the most important ones first. So the bridge is one of the most important ones right now. So that's why we have this task order right now. Once these get approved, we'll move forward. I talked to Dan McCloskey with.
What's the timeline on something like that? Because I'm pretty sure we didn't put that in the budget for next year, and I think we only got like 50,000 this year. So
As far as the
is
timeline
timeline for the bridge, as far as any construction or any
that would not
rehabilitation
be
or
started until 23. I mean, we got 12 months of permitting to get through first, so we would be
anything? Okay,
well
so it's
into
probably
23.
24.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Will you
that
remind
makes
me what
sense.
that priority list looks like?
We didn't put it.
Bridge first?
No.
Do you have the rest?
I think we did.
So
Really,
we're looking at bridge first would be the priority just because of the safety aspect of that. And then going from there, I think what we would do is since the data center roof is really it's really designed, we're gonna have Structure Point review that and just make sure that is appropriate. So that would be something quick we could turn around. Really from that point, it becomes a matter of looking at what do we think we can efficiently get through design without rushing through it and get out on the street to start work. So if you look at that, the roof and the utility barn improvements would probably be 2 projects that would happen pretty quickly. The trail project would be one that we could start moving through rather efficiently because there's not a whole lot of design work or complication with that. And then the other 2 projects that we would be working on them, but they would probably fall toward 23 just to get through the scoping and design process would be the police station and the community center facade. So
I think we had the community center this year.
I'm sorry?
I said, I think we had the community
is this
center in
year.
the budget for this year, so we can always
We'd have to encumber it. We'll be
encumber
under
that.
contract.
And I do know that we do have the police station for next year.
Yeah.
Police stations next year?
Yeah, we have
I was thinking that was this year as well.
money set in there.
No, we had it for next year, or we put it in for next year's
Yeah.
budget. Okay, I got a question, and maybe I asked this when I was in that meeting with you guys, David. On these tasks, I understand the reason for tonight's purpose to approve task 1, or the task that you're talking about that you got numbers for,
Mhm.
okay? Before we go to another task, Structure Point's gonna give you numbers, correct? Would it be possible for you to come and give the numbers to these guys before we move forward?
absolutely, that's not a problem at all. And-
On any of the tasks?
Yeah.
That way, because, I mean, it doesn't hold up anything, and I think
Right.
it'd just be prudent to do that anyway. That way, they're involved in every tasks that won't move them forward.
And so one of the things, and I'll just talk in generality here a little bit, but so if you look at these at first blush, you think, you know, nearly nearly $1 million for the architectural projects. Do we really have $1 million worth of fee for these projects? Well, we don't know. We wanted to size that large enough so we get one appropriation. But as we go through these task orders, they'll be appropriate to the size and scope of the project. So if I think about, just use general numbers, if an architectural fee is 10% roughly of, and Randy, jump in here and tell me if you feel differently, but if an architectural fee is roughly 10%, we see them between 8 and 10% right now of a project value. So that's about a $10 million project. If we're coming in and we're scoping this thing out, and the police station and the utility barn, they look like they're about a $5 million project, well, then those fees should be appropriate to a $5 million project, right? So we will continue to watch through that and make sure to keep an eye on that, as I know Structure Point will too. And we'll report that to you as we bring you those task orders. So
Do you think the bridge is probably gonna be $1.25 million, 1.25? You think the bridge project's gonna end up being about 1.25 on the, I mean, you'd know that better than anyone.
It's probably gonna be every bit of that,
Yeah.
especially the means and methods gonna kind of control that also.
Right.
Because we're limited on how we can get to it, as far as barge, cranes, giving actual materials.
And
Do you think it's that substantial of a,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
And we're not going back, may not go, I'd say we may not go back to timber. It may be concrete. I mean, I don't know. I guess that'll happen when, you know, it's scoped out, but.
or I guess I just wasn't under the understanding that it was that substantial of a project. I thought it was a kind of a redecking.
I can concur with that, yeah.
The substructure is, you know, I think I pointed that out quite a few, over the past probably 2 years. The piling is actually blown or twisted due to the expansion and freezing.
Which needs a better footer, is what you're saying.
Sure. And the protection. I mean, a structure like that, if you put it in motion, you're not gonna stop it. We're gonna keep it up. That was me.
He was.
I think that was somebody here.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is that, you know, I wasn't prepared for numbers like this on the engineering side, not, quite frankly, because I wasn't aware that this was this sizable of a project in regards specifically to the Tanners Creek Bridge. I have seen some of what you're talking about.
So again, keep in mind, these services agreements are not to exceeds. So we, most likely, it's my sincere hope that this does not fully get spent. Now, if we scope it out to deliver a $10 million project, then yeah, we're gonna spend $1 million in design, but I don't anticipate that's gonna happen, and nor does Mike or Randy or anybody at Structure Point. We sized them at a spot to where we felt comfortable that we'd have a fee associated large enough here that we wouldn't have to come back and ask for another appropriation.
I'm feeling like we're moving that direction already. I mean, no, I know what the chief wants to do down at the police station, and
It doesn't matter what the chief wants to do.
you know.
So ultimately, it's,
And knowing what
I
Lenny
think
wants
this
to do with
board
the
here,
trail
this
up
council
another
here, that's gonna
part, you know,
decide.
Hey, now, we need something on the hill.
Well, and don't forget, the utility garage build out will be paid back
Right.
from the utilities. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, and that, I don't know what kind of money that's gonna be, but
And this has nothing to do with the riverfront project.
How old is this bridge, Mario?
18 something.
what year?
18-something?
1800, 18 plaques on it.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Because it was an old train bridge,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
that's right.
It was the old one.
Yeah,
It was the old railroad, that's right, I forgot about
That's the
that.
old railroad bridge. Are we gonna be able to tear it out?
Tempers?
well, no, I think the top part's metal.
Yeah.
No, I meant the,
Oh, the underneath, oh, yeah.
Indiana labor,
I mean, it's pretty big.
just fixing
Oh,
it.
I know.
Fix it, we're repairing.
any other questions that I can answer?
1882.
18.
Wow.
when Lawrenceburg became a city.
That was 02.
Nope, 2002 was the 200-year
Oh, that's right.
bicentennial.
Yeah. Wow.
When Lenny was
No, you're
born.
right.
1880.
1802.
1882.
You said 1818.
80.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's 80 years old.
Exactly.
It's on the former Cincinnati and Southern Ohio River Railway.
Huh. I didn't know that. Okay, I got a question then. Once we get to the council meeting tonight, during the regular meeting, these contracts will not be on Board of Works, they'll be on councils because of the money not being appropriated.
Okay.
Just so everybody's aware of that.
I was wondering that. I thought it was going in front of the BOW first. I'm like,
Yeah.
so we need to make the motion. Okay. Now,
Yeah. And then my question is we're gonna have 3 votes tonight. One would be for the AIA contract.
Right.
The next one is for the infrastructure, project services agreement infrastructure piece contingent upon the trail bridge, the Ludlow Hill Park path, and the docks expansion being added to that by name.
Correct.
And then the third will be to vote on the first task order. And that would be for the scope of and permitting for the trail bridge.
So I have a question. The council is appropriating the funds for the master services agreement. The task orders as they come in, including number 1, do those get approved then by council or Board of Works?
Council.
Both, but,
Well,
I
you
mean-
want them on both?
I mean, the Board of Works, is just like any other claim.
Well,
So it'd be
yeah, we-
approved here,
We
then
put
go
our
probably just-
contracts in front of Board of Works, but really, I mean, we could have done it tonight that way too, but we still have to appropriate it through council.
Okay.
So, we could do the task order. You want the task order going before Board of Works first? But we can't do that tonight because we don't have the project services agreements voted on before Board of Works. Can't vote for the task until after we have the agreements voted on.
What do we need from council?
Money.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean, that's what's gonna
What are
happen.
we paying now, though? Are we just,
We're not paying anything right now until as we go. I mean, we'll end up having to reappropriate. is what we're gonna have to do. Is that right? Don't you think?
Well, the thing is, we've got the contract through Veritas, which was basically the main contract through Veritas. And
Okay.
then,
Yep.
basically, the way they do things, now it just from my understanding, it really just needed to go through council approval up after that. But, you know, at the end of the day, the Board of Works is gonna approve the claims, and then all of a sudden, the council approves the claims at the end of the day.
So it's either way, we're getting it covered.
Yeah, but the original contract the Veritas went through the Board of Works.
So then we
Now-
should be okay then. I
Yeah.
agree then. We can do these in council then, since Board of Works approved the Veritas County contract.
Okay.
It'll be all right.
Going back to the February 28th document I got from Verdius. Project descriptions were Lawrenceburg Community Center, Electric Department, Data Center, Trail Rehab, Ludlow Hill Park, Boat Dock Expansion and Dredging, and then G was various street and infrastructure projects.
And that is not,
That got revised, I believe.
that is not a part.
That got pulled out.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't,
All-
nothing's been added.
Okay, the
Yeah.
only thing I want
That's
to
a
make
good point.
sure is when we make this motion tonight, that we are all aware of how many projects this is actually for, is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, that's where I was kinda getting at.
Yeah.
I was just, it didn't have everything listed when I read through it, I was just.
Well, I tried going back through my minutes to look, and I'm like, you know what, I got the content.
But I do, yeah, but I,
And let me tell you why it got pushed like that. The meeting was last Tuesday,
Yeah, last week, yep, yep.
and I said, hey, guys, I really want to get this in front of council before Monday or Tuesday. I said, is there any way you can have it done by end of business on Thursday? That way we could get it to them on Friday. So I apologize for that. I probably should have put something blurb out and explained it to people, but I wanted you guys to be able to at least see it. I know there have been those questions. That's why we had this meeting scheduled for those questions and be able to sift through it, and I'm glad you guys have asked those. But when I first saw the numbers, I was sticker shock.
Taking them backward.
Well, and then if you look down on, and Dave, if you could, Randy, you might be able to help us understand a little bit better, because this is just the initial scoping of the, going specifically to the bridge project. This isn't the design and rehab
Nope.
engineering. So I mean, that's gonna be a whole nother
Oh,
round.
yeah.
That'd be a whole nother task force.
This is just, in my opinion, this is just saying, hey, we're looking at your trail bridge and we're gonna tell you whether it's good or bad. And then you're gonna have to figure it out from there.
And,
Or what's
Yeah.
gonna have to do to it, yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's bad.
How bad?
We know that we know it's safe enough to cross.
Yes.
You know, I cross it almost every day. I mean,
yeah.
I'm just, yeah. I mean, when we talk about 10% of the scope of a project, you know, we get into another $150,000 of engineering on this project. You know, then now we're at a $3 million plus project. You know, I mean, thus we're getting to that $10 million mark pretty quick.
I see what you're saying.
So, I mean, it's just like, yes, this is just the initial
Yep.
engineering on this.
Correct.
So,
Right.
Well, outside of this project, you guys control how deep we go on the other project.
Yep, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have something.
This one is a safety issue. This is not a, that's why it's not the LPD, it's not the community center. You guys control how big the LPD goes into renovation. If it's too big, hey, guys, gotta peel it back. You know, so that's why I was shaking my head to 10 million. I'm thinking, you know.
How
But
does-
I know I know where you're at.
is this recorded?
Yes, it is.
Mark my words.
Now, as far as, I'm just thinking of the bike path. You
Yeah.
know, you got that first bridge, and of course, you go across the second bridge as you're going towards Aurora, and that's totally Aurora, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And of course, I'm sure, hopefully, that if we put all this money, then all of a sudden, they won't eventually spend the money to take care of that one, or how does that work?
We don't
Go
have
to a
any
dead end.
control over
So
that.
we may do all this
We may
money,
do all
get
this
another
money.
100 yards, and all of a sudden, you gotta turn around anyway.
Aurora's bridge is not that old.
It's not, it looks, yeah, it looks.
They were
it
actually
looks
going
very
to
sound.
take one of Argos's or two of Argos's bridges from when they set up at the end of Walnut and put a cross down there, and it didn't work out. So that, I'm pretty sure they had that one built.
Those are custom built bridges.
Yeah.
We never did get them.
So that's
back.
really not that, I mean, it's old. Not-
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when
20
you go
years,
across that one,
15 years.
and you look to the side where the old railroad.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
nothing
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
Going across there. If you ever get down there, that's interesting, look at that.
Yeah.
So I'd offer this to you that, as far as the identification of the projects, to your point, it'd be important that we get those detailed on that short form. So it's very clear what these address. If anything else were to come up, that would be a completely different agreement that we'd have to bring back to this council. As far as defining scope and keeping this in check with the expectations of this council, I think I can look at it and I think we can come back very quickly and have some rough order magnitude of what this project will look like. As far as the utility building, you're looking at some build out of offices, conference space, and locker rooms.
Right.
We can probably knock that out pretty quickly and come back and give you a really good idea of what that looks like. The data center roof replacement, we can get you a number pretty quickly on that. The community center, that scope is defined pretty well. We know what we're gonna do. There's some unknowns there. We gotta dig into that a little bit. But again, that's another one that I think we can identify what that will look like, and we can bring it back to this council. The police station, we gotta do some scoping. We gotta look at operations. We gotta look at what we're gonna do there. So there's some investigation there. And then the bridge, right? The trail's pretty defined. We have a really good idea what that's gonna look like. So I think, again, that's one we can come back. So we can come in pretty quickly, and it's up to this council. And all you have is a scoping agreement in front of you, right? If there's a project that you say, you know what, that is way out of line and we don't wanna do it, take it off the docket. Don't do it. So,
How quickly could you get back with us in regards to kind of the second phase of the engineering? Like, I mean, obviously, there's the scoping, that's,
Yep.
so you know what we're getting into, but I mean, can you
so I
give us?
believe, and Mike can probably help me with this, I believe Derek indicated about 8 weeks they needed to get through that initial scoping phase of getting the geotech out. And a lot of that's honestly getting the geotechnical survey done, getting the topographic survey, and actually getting out there and do some inspections. Once they have that, they can come back and be able to provide some really good input.
But right now, I mean, it's just unknown. I mean, as far as you guys are
Yep.
concerned. Okay.
Yep.
So I gather, looking at these documents, that we have 3 different numbers on 3 different things that we're gonna need to approve tonight. And the amount that I
Yep.
have added up here is what we need for all 3.
Why we're listing it. right?
One is 920, one's 13.6, and the other one's a mill.
Right. Now, keep in mind that the task order 1 is associated with the engineering, it's part of that $1 million. So you have the master services agreement for $1 million, that $113,000 is.
In that.
It's coming out of that.
I see, I wasn't aware of that, 'cause I'm
Yes.
sitting there doing the math. I wasn't aware of that.
So if you consider the $1 million, the $1 million service agreement for the engineering services for the bridge and for the dock expansion and all that, $113,000, that's coming off of that. So there'll be a remaining $886,400 remaining of that
Okay.
work order, of that master agreement.
What's the second level would be subtracted from that, the second level of scoping and bringing it up to bid?
Each
document
additional
engineering?
task order will come off of that $1 million.
And that doesn't include any of your cost. Your cost, Veritas, is totally separate from any of these contracts,
It's
right?
completely separate from this.
I just want to kind of make sure they understand.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, you do, Justin, you do that 10% on all that, that's, and then multiply those by 10, that's a lot of money for these projects. It could be. And like you said, it's not necessarily going to be, but.
Now, we can negotiate with Structure Point, they might come in at like 6% engineering costs. I gave you that number just as an example, easy math.
Right, right.
We don't have, to be clear,
I
Mayor,
look at-
we don't have a scope or a fee for design yet, but we'll work with Structure Point on that, and we'll present that. It'll be in line and according to the scope of the project. Okay. Anything else?
Lenny, you have any questions, Lenny?
No? All right, well,
I'd like to see us, can we get this done for like 100,000 instead of
Yeah.
$1 million?
I'd love to.
I'm just saying.
Harry, you might want to check him for fever.
What did I tell you, Lenny, when we come in here?
Yeah.
Yours is stapled like you wanted them.
this doesn't include any trees, Tony.
Can we not go there?
It is tree
Oh,
planting
oh.
time too.
Oh.
Okay, I got you. All right, if no other questions, for this meeting, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. See you at 6.